All right, upcoming in Season 4, they have decided to make a change with how dungeons function and how they work within the game, and I think that's actually really interesting, so let's look at it. This is the blue post that they made in the player feedback loop. As part of the ongoing development of Dragonflight, the development team identified 3 issues to address based on the community feedback regarding the dungeon system as it is. Heroic dungeons, basically nobody did this shit. This was basically worthless. Nobody did it. Nobody cared. You could buy loot, or you could buy BOEs that were better than this. Heroics were a waste of time. Correct. Mythic Zeros rapidly lose relevance a few weeks into this expansion once Mythic Plus season starts, with the occasional exceptions for the weekly event quest, which is true. Mythic Zeros basically were also worthless. People did speedrun them for the 4 quests to get a heroic piece of loot, but realistically, nobody really ran them. And honestly, I think one of the difficulties of this is because of these 2 systems, it made actually getting into Mythic Plus, even as a newer player, significantly harder than it should be based on gear requirements and running keys nobody wants to run. The only truly in-game dungeon mode Mythic Plus currently evolves around a timer. This means that other than new mega dungeons, there really isn't a place for in-game players to enjoy a more methodical dungeon pacing and gameplay. Given the combination of the 2 underutilized difficulties and a gap of meeting player demand, we're restructuring dungeon difficulty and rewards in Season 4. I like that they're experimenting. This is cool. Also, there's a new Purple Thunder Mountain Dew that they had at the store that I tried today. I've been trying. It's not bad. I like it, actually. I think it's pretty good. Heroic difficulty rewards will move up to the roughly current level of Mythic 0. These dungeons will remain available to queue via Group Finder, though the item level requirement in queue will go up accordingly. Mythic 0 difficulty rewards will move up to roughly the current level of Mythic 8 to 10. It's a bit hand-wavy numerically, but it's closer to Mythic 10, but not having a timer at all or fixes really offsets that quite a bit. The existing Mythic Plus system will pick up where that leaves off, such as the Mythic 5 in Season 4 is roughly the equivalent difficulty rewards, a Mythic Plus reward system as to a Mythic 15 today. I think this is way more interesting, right? Here's the visual upgrade of it now, where essentially you had Mythic 0 to Mythic 10, Mythic 10 to 20, but now you just have normal, heroic gapped, Mythic 0 gapped, 1 to 10. I think this is way, way more interesting than what they've done before. Having a progression set up between 0 and 20 for people's progression is way less interesting than 0 and 10. It provides a way more condensed form of difficulty as well. Mythic Zeros being a step up in difficulty from where they were previously, I think is also a lot more interesting. I think this is a great, great change, actually. So far, this is really, really cool. This means heroics will be more valuable, Mythic Zeros will be more valuable, and this progression point is far more granular than it was before, where now it feels different every single time, because the difference between a +2 and a +3 was basically nothing. Who cares? So what are the other changes? No timer like the present. Season 4 changes will apply to all 8 of the Dragonflight dungeons. I'm assuming this is the 8 base dungeons, and we're not talking about the,
For the glory of the dragons.
I'm assuming they're talking about these 8 here. I hope Dawn of the Infinite doesn't come back. I'm not really a fan of it. I think it's a cool place, but as far as Mythic Plus is concerned, I don't really like it that much at all. So I hope it is just these 8 dungeons and Dawn of the Infinite goes away. As part of these adjustments, a few goals of mine. Recalibrate core difficulties to align with seasonal player effort or experience and progression. Serve the community who enjoys dungeon content but feels like Mythic Plus content isn't for them due to the pressures of taking part. Create a better environment in Mythic dungeons to prepare more players to take part in Mythic Plus. These are very good things, because Mythic Plus is a system where it's like a Mythic, like let's say you're doing a Mythic +1, which sounds like it could be a lot, but realistically it's nothing. Like, this change makes it, honestly, these changes are really good so far. One of the most notable changes players can look forward to is the removal of timer for Mythic Keystone dungeons for what are currently 0 and 10. Players can run through these dungeons at their own pace without the need to watch the clock while still honing their skills. Great, great change. This allows most of the, in terms of like dungeon progression and relevance for like upper keys and like pushing keys, has nothing to do with this bracket. So removing the timer from them makes it way better for most of the players in general. And then adding that extra difficulty of the timer on top of it towards the end is far more interesting and way, way better, I think, for the player base as a whole. Here's changes. So normal, unchanged, heroic. The tuning of this dungeon increased with baseline missing 0. Mythic difficulty changes and mechanics will not be present in this difficulty, will remain a queuable experience. So good. Mythic, the tuning and rewards are increased to the equivalent of plus 10 in affix of the current system. This is Mythic 0. No timers, affixes, or limitations on the change specializations or talents while in the dungeon, so you can still run it like it's heroic. The goal is to create a mega dungeon-like difficulty with this experience. The difficulty should present a meaningful challenge to provide commensurate rewards without the pressure of the current Mythic Plus system. Mythic 0 is still on a weekly lockout under this model. Totally cool. Okay. The Mythic Plus system will have rewards up to level 10, with plus 2 starting will regularly be a plus 11. So now we're essentially don't think of it as 0 to 20. We're thinking of it as just 11 to 20 now. That's Mythic Plus, 11 to 20. Affixes would start at 2, 5, and 10. So 10 being the final slot of these affixed. I still think they need to do more work with changing these affixes. I don't think that just keeping... I think the change is good, but I still think they need to do a rework to the affixes themselves. Dungeon rating should be equivalent to what they are in the current system. There'll be a smaller range of keystone levels to find groups for it, and a more meaningful progression between each level. This is actually pretty big, especially for casual players, I think. So changing this is really good. The victor goes to spoils. Let's see. Excuse me, sorry. Probably shouldn't have eaten a mint. It's a Trader Joe's green tea infused mints. Honestly, I don't use the word love for a lot of things. These might be some of my favorite things ever. I'm gonna be honest. They're great. So this is just showing the upgrade structure. 473, 437 equivalent. Honestly, one of the best things about making Mythic Zeros higher, or making Heroic Dungeons higher, and the Mythic Zeros higher, is this is actually a meaningful level of loot. This is normal gear, right? 454 equivalent in our current system is the equivalent of normal raid gear. Or sorry, that's Sabris. We don't need Abris. 454 is the base normal gear. So this is equivalent to normal. So Mythic Zero is now equivalent to normal raid, which is really cool, right? With this level of gear. And then the reward structures go up accordingly. The gear level goes up. Wait. Oh, Great Vault, Great. I saw this and I said, are they giving us Myth Track for fucking Mythic Plus? What the? Okay, so this is Great Vault stuff. And 470 as our base for at least plus 9 and up. Okay. Crest and Flightstone rewards are changing to match the same difficulty with some minor adjustments. Give us more, bro. We need more. Just give us more. Flightstone earnings for any Mythic Plus will match the equivalent challenge for Mythic Plus from the previous seasons. This means plus 2 in Season 4 will give the same amount, plus 12. The rewards will continue to match difficulty, even what we're calling those difficulty changes. They need to give us more. Bonus if Mythic Plus score goes up, remains unchanged. Whelplings will no longer be available for reward because Whelplings are below the base Mythic Plus level for before. They're normal, so they'll probably give up Drake's Crest instead. Yep. We'll earn 10 Drake's Crest on completion. There's no timer to beat on Mythic 0. Worm's Crest will be able from 2 to 5 in the same quality and aspects from 6 plus. They did not mention in these changes here, but as the season goes on, they need to give us more crests. We need more. Every single week, just put another crest on there. Or every 2 weeks, just put another crest from that box at the end. It shouldn't... Playing alts is a pain in the ass. Although, they might not care about this, because with how the Warforge or Warbound gear system is going to work in the next upcoming expansion, getting gear for your alts and having your alts actually be set up with additional loot pieces is going to be far easier and far more accessible. So having the necessity for stuff like aspects and worms crests with that kind of upgrade system might not be necessary within the War Within, but I still think as the season continues that the crests that you acquire should increase, because now we've had so many weeks that they have taken the aspect dreaming crest cap off, so we don't even have a cap anymore, but you still gain the same amount of crests that you would have gained from the start of the season. I think that for your first character, that's totally fine. But for your subsequent characters, there should be a modifier that just gives you more crests. The way I think they can do this is there is the dreaming. So these right here. These feats of strength that are outgrow the use of Worm's Crest during Season 3. I think these, what they should do, and to make these more interesting, is that when you get this achievement, that level of crest that you're acquiring from that dungeon for your entire account, so now you have account progression, these achievements should tie into letting you get, I don't know, 50% more, 100% more of these crests from those dungeons of the relevant achievement that you have gained, right? For your alternate characters, just to make it that much easier to set up and gear alts. Because you simply have to do too many with the current system for an alt character. For your first character, it's fine, but for an alt character, I think they can use these types of achievements to unlock account progression for the overall acquisition of crests. So make it way better, especially when you get to the point where when you do make that alt character and when you have outpaced all of those crests at that point, playing an alt shouldn't be essentially playing a second main. I think it's just too much. But this system change as a whole, I think, is super, super good. I really like how they've essentially made heroic a repeatable, queuable thing. They're like, hey man, heroic should be an actual difficulty, and heroic should actually provide you something good. This is probably a great design change, and I do hope they keep this moving forward because this is very interesting. It's way more relevant to the entire player base as a whole. I think it's great. I think it's great. Once again, I do think they need to look at fixes themselves, but for now, we're looking A+ here. We're looking A+. I think this is a wonderful change, and this is not a change I would have thought to do personally, because I wasn't thinking about it, so they have got some smart people on the design team thinking about this kind of stuff. So this is great. Good job, guys. Cool, cool, cool. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.